No matter if points are gained or points are lost, there will be much to discuss. For analysis regarding tonight's Winnipeg Jets game, here are Dave Manouk, Ezra Ginsburg, and your host, Drew Mandel. The Illegal Curve post-game show, presented by Play Now, the official sports betting partner of the Winnipeg Jets, starts now.
Good evening, Winnipeg. Good evening, Manitoba. And for all those joining us live this evening on our YouTube channel and all of our social media platforms, we say good evening, universe, and welcome to the Illegal Curve post-game show. Along with Dave Manouk, along with Ezra Ginsburg, I'm your host, Drew Mandel, here to discuss another Winnipeg Jets defeat, their third in 4 games, if I'm not mistaken. If my math is going to be mathing correctly, I think it's actually probably their fourth. And it's their fourth in 5 games now that I actually think about it. They bounced back against the Vancouver Canucks a couple nights ago, but they cannot keep the good times rolling tonight, dropping a regulation time decision to the Seattle Kraken. A game that I think the Jets are going to consider this an opportunity lost. They were in the lead in this game. They were, frankly, I thought, the better of the two teams for a lot of this game. But 3 third-period goals by the Seattle Kraken end up being the difference in tonight's contest as they win 5-3, sending the Jets to another defeat as the Jets still have 1 game left on what has been a disappointing road trip. Gentlemen, good to see you both on this Thursday night. The Jets almost at full strength with the return of Dylan Samberg, with the return of Gus Nyquist. The only sort of for sure regular that's not in the lineup now is Morgan Barron, but the Jets couldn't propel those returns to victory tonight. I think, if I'm not mistaken, this is probably the first loss this year where the Jets have given up a third period lead to fall in defeat. But I think they're probably to a man going to say that opportunities were there and they just got a little too careless in that third period as they watched the lead dissipate.
Boy, do they need to be back in Winnipeg here, guys. This road trip it was already off to a bad start, losing the first 3 games, and now you've lost 4 of 5. And obviously, Calgary, it's a mismatch. They should be able to beat Calgary, and it's still not going to be a very successful road trip when you come out with only a couple victories, right? But I agree with Drew. I thought that they played well for the most part tonight. I thought the first period generally was low event for both teams. I wouldn't say I loved the first
goals.
Period. Yeah, exactly. And I wouldn't say I loved the first period for any particular line or player, but the second period it was all Jets. And I liked how they carried the play, and Drew mentioned, right, like when Seattle went ahead, when the Jets went ahead and Seattle tied it up, the Jets went ahead again, and it wasn't until Eberle's goal where they actually took their first lead of the game in the third period, right? So I think there's a lot of things to like about this game. I think the power play obviously looked good. I know the Kraken scored a power play goal, but I thought the penalty kill, even though they weren't they didn't have to go on the penalty kill often, I thought it looked pretty good. And I know a lot of people in the chat are getting on Connor Hellebuck, guys. Like, was it his best night? No, it obviously wasn't his best night. I don't know that I would say he played poorly. I mean, I don't know how many of the goals necessarily you would say were Hellebuck's fault. Obviously, you would like to get 1 or 2 more saves, but this was a tie game in the third period, guys. Like, simply put. And the Kraken get a goal, and yeah, we'll get into the Eberle goal, the first Eberle goal, not the empty netter, in the Play Now game recap. But obviously, that's some lost coverage there. But I think for the most part, the effort was right. It was kind of I don't know if this game lacked emotion. It lacked something. I don't know if you guys thought that. It was kind of like a regular season game, not a lot of theatrics. Obviously, when Logan Stanley hit, was it Mason Marchment there? Yeah. Then it got a little bit heated, right? But for the most part, this was just a game, and it was fairly evenly played for the most part. I think I would agree with Drew. I think I would give the advantage to the Jets, but at the end of the day, it's an Eberle goal that's the difference. So again, I don't know how much you can extrapolate from this game in terms of, like, Dylan Samberg came back. He looked pretty good. I like the Lowry line again. Obviously, Kyle Connor was excellent tonight. The Scheifele line was fine. I thought there was a little, the Taves line was a little bit underwhelming. I'm not saying that they played poorly. I'm just saying that I didn't think they created a ton of offense.
There wasn't a lot, like to your point there, Ezzy. There wasn't a lot of juice to this game, Dave. It was very much, but this is the kind of game where we've been used to the Jets finding a way to get that insurance marker over the last number of years, where you have a 3-2 lead, at the start of the third period, and you're on the power play, and they can put a team away. Typically, that's what we've been used to, them finding a way to put a team away, snuffing out any hope of a comeback. So the fact that the Jets, gave up the lead multiple times in this game. Remember, the Jets had a 1-goal lead on 3 different times. They were leading 1-0, they were leading 2-1, and they were leading 3-2. And the fact that they couldn't hold on to the lead is, I think, probably the most unique and telling aspect of today's game, and emblematic of a team that is not firing on all cylinders. A team that is, slowly getting back to full strength, slowly having their roster, ideally the way they want it, but not there yet. And again, not playing with a ton of confidence, I would say as well. Not really, stepping on the throats of their opponent that we have seen them do so many times in the last couple of years.
Yeah, I think one of the things I was thinking about while you guys were talking was there, especially obviously in that third period, was there was a lack of killer instinct.
That's a good way to put it.
And so you're watching the game and you're thinking to yourself, okay, you've got a 3-2 lead in your right group. For the Jets, that's been pretty automatic, but not this Jets team.
Yeah.
Like that's, again, remember, I mean, this time last year, we were talking about a team that was 15-1. This is a team that had 10 less points than that team last year. So, it's not the same team, and we really should stop talking about what last year's team did or didn't do and just focus on this team. I'm just saying that, positionally, you look at them and they're very different. And one of the things that's very clear is just there are, and I'm not trying to make excuses, but clearly Cole Perfetti isn't at the same pace as everybody else. I mean, even on the opportunity he had where he deferred and made a pass where he was in a prime shooting position, that he doesn't have that level of confidence. And I get it; it's going to slowly build back for him. Dylan Sandberg too. I mean, I thought he had some, a strong game, but like he's not the same level. And who would expect him to be the same level, right? He hasn't played for a month, longer than a month, 6 weeks. So the fact of the matter is that you've got these guys who are, and even Adam Lowry. So his line was good. But the Taves line, I didn't like it tonight. I didn't think it was particularly good. The top line was good in terms of production, but they were not good defensively. Critical mistakes by Dylan DeMello. I mean, it's these little things that happen that if you're firing well, then you can sometimes offset one or two of those things kind of breaking apart. But when you're playing the way they are right now, it's not useful. And remember, sure, they won in Vancouver, but the fact of the matter is that the 3-game losing streak before that wasn't so long ago in the rearview mirror that you're like, okay, we're ready to cruise back in. This was a game that was, again, I'm not going to be scoreboard watching or anything like that, but ultimately Colorado and Dallas continue to win. They both won tonight bigly. And so they're pulling ahead. And again, a lot of the teams that are right around the Jets are also winning. So, a game like this, and Seattle was only 1 point back of Winnipeg. So we're not talking about a team that has a huge difference. But remember, this is a Seattle team, guys, that has been very good defensively. Mm-hmm. They're one of the worst teams in terms of scoring, right? They don't score a lot of goals, and yet they managed to score 5, obviously one being an empty netter, against the Winnipeg Jets. So
first time all year they got 5 goals in a game.
Yeah, and so it's like I said, it's more that the biggest sort of takeaway, in addition to let's steal a Drewism here, as the attention to detail. Like the Dylan DeMello 4th goal, very similar for me, and I put this out on X, but very similar to me in terms of watching that Vancouver game and seeing that first goal against. You could see that Eberle was going to be wide open. You could see that it was going to end up in the back of the net. And I don't blame Hellebuck on that one. I blame Dylan DeMello for just getting lost in no man's land. And we'll get through that on the Play Now game recap. But I just think that's the game-winning goal, and that one's a killer. So,
well, and at some point in time, I mean, it's one thing to lose the game, and obviously, Jets fans don't want the Jets to lose any games. But at some point in time, and really, you need to get some loser points. Losing clean in regulation it does eventually come back to bite you. It could eventually come back and be a bit of a problematic function. We've seen so many, I'm going to call them mediocre teams, that end up being either in the playoff race or in the playoffs themselves because they find a way to get through the 60 minutes of regulation and then they lose in overtime, or they lose in extra time. The fact that the Jets have played 17 games so far this year, and of those 17, I think it's only one of them has gone to overtime, and that's a game that they won in overtime. They haven't earned any of those loser points. You look all the teams that are all around them in the Central Division. Colorado has only lost once in regulation. They got 5 overtime defeats. Dallas has 3 loser points. Utah and the Jets, they have the same exact record. Utah hasn't gone to overtime either. But Chicago, a team that nobody really expects to be a playoff team, has managed to get 4 loser points so far this year. Minnesota has as well. St. Louis and Nashville have even as well. They haven't gotten enough wins in regulation, but that is something that it's a bit of a flashing light to me, that the Jets need to find a way, and they have done this in past years before, is they'd find a way to get that goal, send it to extra time, and then whatever happens. You can't go without at least earning some of these cheap points for too much longer before it begins to be a little bit more problematic.
It's a fair point, Drew. And tonight was a perfect example where the Jets deserved at least a point, right? I think anybody watching that game would agree with that. And I think that, they had some good pressure there when Hellebuck was pulled, especially the puck was in the Kraken zone for a good
Kyle
minute,
Connor
minute
had
and a
the
half.
tying goal on a stick.
Exactly, right? And Connor was buzzing out there tonight. And so, I mean, look, I know I'm not posting a lot of comments, but there's a lot of negativity in the chat right now. Like, I think we need to slow down on saying that the Jets are a bad team and, I predicted this and everything like that. And I'm not saying that I predicted it. I'm saying some of the people in the chat are saying that they predicted that the Jets were, going to take a downturn here. Like, look, the road trip has been bad. There's no, mincing words there. But I think also, to Dave's point, you have to also factor in that the Jets have had just now are getting close to full health, and they've had players coming in and out, right? So obviously you're not going to use that as an excuse why you lost the game tonight. But I think you have to factor in the context of what's going on with this team. That's all I'm saying. I think there's definitely I think signs that you would, the cause for concern, I'll put it that way. But again, if the Jets, are able to win this game tonight, I think, then all of a sudden we're not feeling as bad about this road trip, and they easily could have won this game. Obviously they didn't, but I think, sometimes one team just scores one extra goal. Obviously they scored 2 extra goals, but you know what I mean? It was a 1-goal game essentially, as far as I'm concerned. So
I think that people are justified with their concerns about the team, though. I mean, because I look at that second line.
Well, yeah, but it's not just concerns. I mean, I'm seeing.
I know.
The Jets are going to miss the playoffs and everything like that. Like, that's not going to happen.
Well, I mean, people are. I mean, but I think there are some concerns that I don't know that are easily solved. I mean, Cole Perfetti, of course, is not yet up to speed. He's only played a couple games. So, but I have concerns about his line mates. I have concerns, I think, about Jonathan Taves and Vlad Nemesnikov. And whether or not Morgan Barron gets a shot up there, when he comes back from injury, time will tell. But I don't know that Cole Perfetti, has enough skill playing with him on that second line for the Jets. I do think that it's beginning to maybe show a little bit that the lack of another Nikolai Ehlers-esque scorer or skill player might be a factor, regarding the Winnipeg Jets and their struggles as of late. When you're so reliant on that top line, you begin to, then they're going to go through some doldrums. I mean, they're not going to go through weeks of them, but I do think that they're one bona fide scorer, and that they're missing that one bona fide scorer from their lineup, Dave. And I thought you sort of saw that tonight. Cole Perfetti is not yet back to full speed where he can be a dominant force, and to boot, I don't know if he's got the line mates who are going to lead him to being a dominant force.
Yeah, I think that's definitely fair, Drew. I think that there is a question mark for Winnipeg. Now, look, they're still scoring goals, right? I mean, we went through it, we detailed it. They had 5 before they left. Then they had 2 in 3 games, and then they had 5 in Vancouver. So, and generally speaking, when the Winnipeg Jets score 3-4 goals, you're pretty much going to guarantee them a win, aren't you? And they don't really get into games where you're expecting it to be like 6-5, 7-6 games, right, boys? So, I mean, if usually they're able to lock it down. That's why it's just, to me, that's the biggest. No, I'd say the biggest concern is the fact that I just didn't think that they were crispy enough. They didn't have that attention to detail. We've talked about that. We'll go through it on the goals when we break it all down. But again, and I don't want to be too redundant here, but that idea that they just didn't have that killer instinct when they needed to, and they needed the PK to come up. It didn't come up for them, and that obviously gave Seattle some life. And Seattle, like, let's be realistic, not an exciting team to watch. They're structured, they're boring, almost like a poor man's New Jersey Devils, Ezzy. But but you credit them because they played within the structure, they played their style, and they won the game. So, and they've now leaped ahead of the Jets by a point, I think, in the standings.
Correct.
So,
Well, they've also defeated the Jets twice already this year.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah,
different divisions, but Seattle. To my previous point, they've got 5. They've got 5 overtime defeats this year, so they're getting those loser points.
Yeah,
they're not. They've only won half of their games, less than half of their games, 8 of their 17. But all of a sudden, they look all fine and dandy, sitting there in 3rd spot in the Pacific Division as a result of those extra bonus points.
Yeah, and I mean, I actually thought Logan Stanley had a good game for the most part, and I thought that, again, like I said, Pionk made that brilliant pass to Mark Scheifele, but there's a lot of roughness. There's a lot of things that you're looking at this defensive group, right? And one of the positives that they're starting to produce now. You're getting more points from the back end. Not necessarily just even goals, but just even picking up assists. But again, like I said, like the rest of the team, it was rough. So I just don't think it was a particularly, interesting game. I mean, we'll give them credit. They played a really good second period. And usually, I think our expectation would be when the Jets play a really good second period and take that lead into the third, not more often than not, they're going to win that game, right? And that's become the norm for the number of years. It wasn't tonight. And folks are right to be concerned based on what they're watching. I mean, you're again, everybody's watching the same game we are, and they're seeing the lack of production, and they're seeing the lack of sort of chemistry, and they're seeing the lack of speed, and they're concerned, especially when you put this. I mean, again, Seattle's kind of in that middling team. What about the Jets against Colorado?
Yeah.
I mean, could you imagine the Jets against Colorado's speed? We saw what Anaheim did with their speed. We saw what San Jose did with their speed. So, again, I think it's a valid concern from fans. Especially when quickly, last point, especially when your structure isn't off, when you're not playing to your sort of ideal. If you're not playing that way, then a lack of speed can probably be offset slightly with good structure. When your structure is not good and you have that lack of speed.
I don't think it was I don't even know if this is what you're saying, Dave. I don't know if it was the structure was off today. I agree with what you're saying in terms of there were some turnovers and lack of attention to detail, but I think, again, we're going to get into the play now game recap here, but I think another thing that's happening here, guys, is too many times this year, the Jets have not had consecutive shifts in the offensive zone with pressure. And what's happening is because of that, other teams are controlling possession. They're coming back the other way. The Jets are spending too much time defending. Like, I know that's a maybe oversimplification of what's happening
you're right,
here.
100%.
But that's kind of, to me, why the Jets have gotten out of what makes them successful. To your point, Dave, like and maybe that's what you're talking about. I thought maybe you were talking more about defensive structure, but I think when you're talking about the Jets, like, where was there much of a forecheck tonight? Like, honestly,
nothing that's came
sustained,
to mind.
as you said, Ezzy, nothing sustained.
Yeah,
nothing where you're like, there's waves of pressure coming.
Exactly, and that's why the Jets were the best team in the league last year, because they had waves of pressure. If it wasn't the Scheifele line coming after you, it was Nemesnikov, Ehlers, Perfetti, and then the Lowry, Niederreiter, Appleton line, and even the fourth line would contribute, right? And I agree with a lot of the comments. Like, the Jets definitely miss Morgan Barron. Like, I think we can all agree now that Morgan Barron is more than just a fourth line player on this team, right? Like, I'm not saying that he won't play on the fourth line when he comes back. I'm just saying that, like, his importance is huge. And I think Drew makes another good point. I think, the secondary scoring has dried up on this road trip. Aside from the game against Vancouver, 1 out of 5 games, guys, where you've had secondary scoring. Aside from that, it's the Scheifele line obviously was better tonight, but in the 3 losses to start the road trip, we know they didn't have any points, right? So you're relying a little bit too much on the top line. You're not getting in a game like tonight, you're not getting a ton of secondary scoring chances, let alone goals. And that's kind of it. Even though I do think the Jets played pretty well for the most part. Like if you look at the advanced stats, like in the last period, the Jets controlled possession.
Yeah, like 80% possession numbers in their favor.
I mean, so maybe you say the first period wasn't that great, but so the Jets won 2 of the 3 periods. So usually when you win 2 of the 3 periods, you win the game, right?
Right.
And yes, Hellebuck wasn't able to be Hellebuckian tonight, but so yeah, there's some concerns, but I do think that we should pump the brakes in terms of saying that this is more than concerns. I think this is these things will get worked out, and now that they're just finally starting to get back to full health, I think that's only going to help them. But yeah, I mean, Calgary, you're not going to say it's a must-win, but it's a can't-lose for sure.
Let's get into the goal-by-goal recap. 8 goals to talk about in tonight's contest. It's brought to you by our friends at Play Now.
The Play Now game recap.
Big thanks to Play Now for their continued support of the Illegal Curve post-game show. Until April 17th, earn a $5 sports bonus bet for each Jets power play goal. They had one of those tonight. When you place a qualifying same-game parlay wager on a Winnipeg Jets regular season game. Conditions apply, of course. Bet with Play Now, the official betting partner of the Winnipeg Jets, 18+. Enjoy responsibly. Big thanks to our friends at Play Now. Mentioned that the Jets coughed up 3 separate 1-goal leads in tonight's game. They did so first by opening the scoring. Before you can give up a goal or give up a lead, you got to take the lead. They did take the lead 10-17 into the first period, a first period that I would agree was relatively uneventful. This is a nice goal, though. It starts at the Jets face-off circle in the defensive zone, and it's a 4-man unit that's transitioning up the ice. You have Dylan DeMello, you have Alex Iafallo, you have Adam Lowry, and you have Nino Niederreiter, and they're feeding the puck back and forth, and they're doing a nice job sharing the puck and sort of spreading out the Kraken wide. And then DeMello hits it to Lowry, and Iafallo's with a very strong net drive against Adam Larson. He's the defender for the Kraken on this play. And Lowry puts the puck towards the net. Iafallo gets a stick, a skate, some sort of body part on it, and it goes in past Philip Grubauer. It's Iafallo's 4th of the year. Assist to Lowry, assist to DeMello, and the Jets have a 1-0 lead at the halfway mark of the first period, Ezzy.
Yeah, it's good transition out of your own zone, like you said, Drew. Iafallo starts the play in his own zone, and then it's just some nice execution, some nice passing between Niederreiter, Iafallo, DeMello, and who am I missing here? Lowry. So it's just a well executed play, right? Like, and the thing that was weird about this is up until that point, I think the Jets had 1 shot on net or 2 shots on net. Like, it was just a weird first half of really the whole first period. I thought was pretty uneventful from both sides, but the Jets had a 1-0 lead, and you're kind of asking yourself, like, does anybody deserve to be in the lead at this point? The way these 2 teams have played, but yeah, it's a nice goal and nice to see. Like, again, maybe I was exaggerating a little bit before. Like, I would put Alex Iafallo and Lowry, and the characters involved in this goal. That's secondary scoring, but I just thought it was too few and far between in this game. But yeah, a really nice executed goal, showing how you can start the play in your own zone and just move up the ice. Really, when you talk about like playing connected, that's a perfect example of playing connected by the Jets.
Very much. It was definitely a connected goal. Sorry, Dave, go ahead.
No, I was going to say 100% that would be the exact word I'd use. And you kind of thought to yourself, oh, okay, this is the way the Jets are going to start to roll. And you actually thought, okay, you're right, Ezzy. In fact, I actually thought Lowry was going to hit Niederreiter with the pass because Niederreiter was wide open in front as opposed to going to Iafallo. Who am I to criticize? He scored the goal. But yeah, back-to-back goals for Alex Iafallo. But yeah, it definitely looked really, good from and even credit Dylan DeMello for jumping in and being involved in the play. So it started off well, and you're thinking to yourself, okay, the Jets have begun this game, and they are continuing again, on that winning trajectory from the Vancouver game.
Well, the good vibes, the good feelings, the lead lasts for just under 5 minutes. Capo Caco getting his first of the season, assist to Jaden Schwartz and Vince Dunn. And this play really starts with a very strong forecheck by Jaden Schwartz, forces the turnover against Dylan DeMello, leading Chandler Stevenson to gather the loose puck. He leaves it for Vince Dunn. Schwartz gets it back. And then Capo Caco is in front of Connor Hellebuck, and he gets his stick free away from DeMello again on this one. And, it's a nice play by Dunn to sort of walk around Scheifele and then Schwartz to get the puck and put it right towards the net to the redirection from Capo Caco past Connor Hellebuck to tie it up at 1 goal apiece. Not a great sequence of events for Dylan DeMello. He had a bit of a rough game tonight. This time the turnover is forced by Schwartz against him, and then to boot, he doesn't tie up Capo Caco's stick well enough to prevent him from getting the redirection on the Schwartz shot. Game's tied up at 1 at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, like you said, Drew, it starts with the bad turnover by DeMello, and then, like you said, Caco, his stick is not tied up, and Morrissey's chasing a little bit. He's chasing Chandler Stevenson around. I just thought it was the Jets being scrambly in their own zone. That's what it felt like watching the game live, and then obviously watching the replay, which I have on my screen right now. That was just a preventable goal, I would say. There was nothing really. The Seattle, it's not like Seattle did anything particularly well. There was a little bit of a cycle, and Dunn comes in and feeds it to Schwartz, who finds Caco in front of the net. But again, it's just not. It's not tight defensive hockey. It's not.
The Jets are on their heels. I mean, they're on their heels as soon as the turnover happens, which is the result of a strong forecheck by Schwartz. The Jets are just on the heels, and immediately it's too scrambly immediately. Like, as soon as there was any adversity in this play, as soon as the problems start here, they sort of get compounded because nobody's there to sort of snuff out the Kraken after they force the initial turnover. Forcing an initial turnover shouldn't be the end of the world, but then the Jets compound the errors and nobody's there to sort of just smooth the waters and calm things down for the Jets. And before you know it, it's in the back of the net and it's tied up at 1 goal apiece, which is where the first period ended.
Right. But I mean, it's just, we talk about playing slow. How slow were the Jets there? Dylan DeMello's decision-making was slow, right? I don't mean speed isn't always about, how quickly you move your skates.
Right.
Dylan DeMello is behind the net, has the puck. I'm not saying he had a ton of time, but he had enough time to make a better pass to Josh Morrissey than the one he did. Mm-hmm. And as a result, and he doesn't. And then it's not just on Dylan DeMello, though. Nobody ties up. Like, DeMello doesn't play it well. So he's in front of the net. He's in no man's land, not taking Kakinen in front of the net. But he's also got to watch Larson, who's pinching from the point, because Gabe Velarde doesn't have anybody. He's just standing around. So again, like, this is what we talk about. Like, it's a nice transition by Seattle, who comes in aggressively, makes a nice drop. Scheifele gets, I'm not going to say interfered with, but he gets held up a little bit, and then it's just a bad decision, end up in the back of the net. But primarily the guy who's guilty of the biggest infraction in my mind is Dylan DeMello for the turnover, and then Dylan DeMello doesn't tie up Kakinen stick. He just puts himself into that no man's land. And there's no use for him. He's not doing anything in front of Connor Hellebuck.
Bad decision. First period ends with the score tied at 1 goal apiece. What a good decision generally is when Mark Scheifele's behind the opposition defense, send the puck up the ice to him. And that's what the Jets successfully do to take the 2-1 lead at the 3:18 mark of the second period. It's Mark Scheifele. It's his 10th of the year. It's first, I believe, they said on the broadcast, in 5 games, as he's been in a bit of a goal-scoring rut. Yeah, he's back on the score sheet with this goal, his 10th of the year. Neil Pionk is the assist on this goal. It's a bad line change by the Seattle Kraken. It's a bad turnover by the Seattle Kraken as they are unable to get the puck in deep enough. It's Riker Evans who sort of turns the puck over, not necessarily at the blue line, but just above the face-off circles of the Jets defense. Everybody else on the Kraken has gone to make a line change, the long line change in the second period. Pionk finds Scheifele, who's somehow left behind the Kraken, and he comes in and he beats Grubauer with a really nice shot, a really nice play by Pionk to Scheifele. More connectivity for the Jets, good connectivity on the offensive side of things. We saw it on the first goal, good one here on the second goal, and Scheifele, of course, makes no mistake. He's in a good, shooter's going to shoot when they're in that position, and Grubauer really had no chance, and frankly, I don't really love the effort he put forth either, but that's okay. 2-1 for the Winnipeg Jets.
Drew, you mentioned it. Horrible line change. Just an awful line change. But two things obviously stand out on this goal. It's the turnover, but Neil Pionk sees that Mark Scheifele is completely wide open at the Kraken blue line. So it's a tape-to-tape beautiful pass by Neil Pionk, and then a beautiful quick release shot by Mark Scheifele. And hopefully Doug Armstrong was watching that one.
Yeah, hopefully from the Team Canada perspective. Really nice play. Jets have that 2-1 lead here. But again, it doesn't last that long. The Jets can't quite pull away from Seattle at any point during this game. It takes the Kraken 4 minutes and 9 seconds to tie it up. It's Vince Dunn, his third of the year. Assist to both Adam Larson, he gets the secondary assist, and Ryan Winterton, who, with all due respect to the Winterton family, is not a household name quite yet in the NHL. But again, this is the good job by the Kraken. It's not a pretty goal. It's not a particularly, but it's an effective goal. They get the puck in low. They get a bit of a fortuitous bounce, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, Winterton has to go strong to the net. And then, Vince Dunn, who, by the way, is a defenseman, also has to go strong to the net, and he gets the puck and sort of chips it up and over a little bit of Connor Hellebuck, and it's sort of off the post and then off Hellebuck's back and just over the line. But it doesn't happen for the Kraken if it's not for the very strong net drive. Scheifele and Morrissey are there. I think it actually deflects off of Morrissey's stick and up over Connor Hellebuck. But the Kraken had a nose for the net on this play, and the Jets were not good enough to defending to prevent the Kraken from getting their sticks in an opportune position, Dave.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's another example of just, you have the numbers. Scheifele's there, Morrissey's there, DeMello's there. So there's no excuse for you to be like, oh, well, we were outnumbered. We had a disadvantage in that regard. You didn't. You just didn't play it well. And I thought Morrissey may have pushed it on to Dunn's stick, and then Dunn pushed it back towards up and over Connor Hellebuck. Just kind of an unusual one. It looks like it hit Scheifele in the skates a little bit, and then kind of went, kind of ended up in that little spot in front of the net, and then Morrissey was kind of trying to bat it out of the way. But, I mean, again, this is another instance where if you play a more effective defense, you don't even put yourself into that position to be there. So it's again, that's what we saw. Like the Scheifele line scores the goal, but then they get scored against. And there's nothing super egregious on this one to me, Ezzy, but it was more just a half step behind, right? Dylan DeMello does that half step behind.
I was going to say there's a little too much stationary play there on that one.
That's what I mean. That's what I'm saying. So it's not like you're just, but that's again, emblematic of what we've been seeing. Even on the last goal against, the Jets were standing around, and Seattle's moving. Well, it puts you at a serious disadvantage, and now suddenly the game's tied 2-2.
Yeah, 2-2, but the Jets do take the 3-2 lead with 1:10 to go in the second period. Finally, for Kyle Connor, his 10th of the year, his first power play goal in about 11 months.
That's
which
insane,
is
by the way.
Hard to believe.
Really
didn't someone on this panel predict a power play goal for Kyle Connor
that
this
never
road
actually
trip?
happened. I don't know what you're talking about. And
Not me, for the record. Not me.
Yeah,
the guy
we know.
On the
Ginsburg
has
say it was coming.
Drew
I'll
has
give
the
him credit.
ability to erase history.
What was that movie? Memento? Wasn't there something like that in the movie Memento? I don't remember. Anyways, yes, Ginsburg did say that Kyle Connor would score on this road trip, and he was correct.
Well, guys, when it's a 6-game road trip, I mean, your chances are pretty good.
I didn't want to crush your dream when you said that, as, but although
it's been 11 months though, so
I was going to say it has been 11 months. So I mean, it was not a foregone conclusion. Let's put it that way.
Not a foregone
he was due, like Drew just said, 11 months. When you think about Kyle Connor and how the fact that he almost scored 50 goals last year,
I know, and they're
the
all
fact that he hasn't scored a power play goal is pretty nuts.
Well, it's very nuts, is what it is. I mean, it's a remarkable stat for him to have gone this long. Before we talk about the goal, though, I want to talk about what remember, the Jets were shorthanded briefly before this goal, And if it wasn't for Kyle Connor and his play shorthanded, where he forces Vince Dunn into taking a hooking penalty, turning it from a Kraken power play to a 4-on-4 situation, and then to a Winnipeg Jets power play situation. I mean, you got to sort of, it's not directly part of this goal, but it is worth mentioning, and it's
for sure.
worth promoting just how impressive of a play it is by Kyle Connor and how effective it is, where he can go from that defensive side of the play for the PK to forcing a penalty to scoring a power play goal, all sort of one sequence after another. So much so that I would describe it as heads up hockey, which makes it our Wheatland Hockey heads up hockey play of the game. Wheatland Hockey Club, Prairie Proud, Hockey Strong, building skills, character, and excellence on and off the ice, a fresh approach to youth hockey and development. They got something for everybody. Check them out online, wheatlandhockey.ca. Big thanks to them for their continued support of the Illegal Curve post-game show, and a great play here by Kyle Connor, starting with that play shorthanded before he transitions it to ending up as a power play goal for the Winnipeg Jets. It's not the prettiest power play goal he's ever scored. It's probably a goal that Philip Grubauer wants back. There's a little bit of traffic in front of Grubauer. Ryan Lindgren is the defenseman for the not Brian Lindgren, sorry. Ryan Lindgren.
No,
He's
Ryan
the defenseman
Lindgren.
there.
Yeah.
For the Kraken. You can see
Used to be on the Rangers. Now he's on the Kraken.
Yeah, exactly. Big sort of physical defenseman. Looks like he gets his stick maybe in an inopportune spot. Maybe helps not necessarily deflect the puck, but distract the puck. Goes through Grubauer. Not the greatest goal that Kyle Connor's ever scored, but for a guy who hasn't scored a power play goal in 11 months, Dave, it's certainly a good one for Kyle Connor, and gives the Jets the 3-2 lead with 1:10 to go in the third period.
Second period.
Pardon me. Yes.
I'm like with 3-2 lead with a minute to go in the third period. Then I would pick the Jets to win that game, Drew. But yeah. No, you're look. It's amazing because he didn't really get all of it, right? It was a good shot, but he didn't get all of it, and it's almost like shocking that it went in because he had better shots on net that didn't go in. But it was good movement. And you can see like they're calling for the puck and they get it over to him, but Morrissey moves it well. Scheifele moves it well on the shift, and it ends up in the back of the net. So Kyle Connor up to 10 goals, no big surprise, right? As he's again having another fantastic year, and I thought the power play actually looked good. Like those, it seemed like, and again I don't know what the final numbers ended up being, but it sure seemed like PP1 took the lion's share of the power play time throughout the course of this game.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it just
and
again,
honestly, I don't have a problem with that.
No, I mean, like,
you think about it, they would have had the last 14 seconds of the the second power play right before the end of the second period, and then they would have had the start of it afterwards. I thought the power play, to your point though, Dave, I thought they had a little bit of jump and they were moved. There was good movement involved with them, good zone control, and they were dancing around a little bit. They looked dangerous for a lot of the game.
Look, after going for that 0-for-14 drought, they scored 2 in the last game, and then they get 1 tonight, so they're feeling a little bit better about themselves after, like I said, that extent. And it was 1 for 17 before it was 0-for-14. But so I think they were feeling a little bit better. Ironically, they gave a very similar game-tying goal, was on the power play in a very similar spot. But and now Kyle Connor again matches Mark Scheifele up to 10 goals, and just a kind of nice all-around play for them.
Yeah, so 3-2 for the Jets after 40 minutes. This is, as we talked about earlier on in the post-game show, where you would see the Jets maybe, take advantage of an opportunity, particularly another late penalty by the Kraken. They had that late too many men on the ice penalty at the end of the second and the beginning of the third. The Jets aren't able to take advantage of that, and then they end up taking a penalty of their own. Nino Niederreiter gets called for holding. He vociferously disagreed with that penalty call.
I can't blame him. I thought it was a little ticky-tacky.
But hold on, and also, what about the mystery Gustav Nyquist trip, which wasn't a trip? I mean, he didn't. I mean, if you want to call anybody, I didn't see who. I don't know if it was Pearson who did it before, but it was like someone else had touched him, And then the player kept skating, and then Nyquist was in the vicinity, but he just fell on his own, and they called the penalty on Nyquist. I was like,
yeah, it was Matty Beniers who he was called for tripping.
yeah, but I didn't see who. But I mean is I didn't see who the jet. I can't remember which jet it
I
was
see what you're saying before.
that had connected with him before. But anyways, it was just funny though, because I was just like, what was that penalty call? Yeah, the penalties were a little bit bizarre today.
Anytime you take your hand, off a stick, refs are looking for it. If they see that you only got one hand on that stick and you're defending, they are champing at the bit to make a call. And Nino Niederreiter,
Thank you for not saying chomping, by the way.
Yeah, I know a little bit. I don't know a lot. I know a little bit. I know it's champing. I know it's not chomping. Nino Niederreiter, I understand why he doesn't like the call. But at this point, officials are pretty clear that, if you take your hand off your stick and you're defending, you're asking to be called for anything. If you put your stick anywhere near your opponent's gloves, you're asking to be called for something.
Fair enough.
Do I think that there are always penalties? No, I definitely don't. Could this one have been let go? No question. But they don't. They call it. Niederreiter's in the box, and the Seattle Kraken have a power play goal at the 4:11 mark of the third period. Eli Tolvanen, his second of the season, assist of Vince Dunn and Chandler Stevenson. It's a great shot. It's a well set up, a well designed one-timer. And Tolvanen makes no mistake about this, beating Connor Hellebuyck far side. Is Josh Morrissey maybe a quarter of a step slow? Maybe should have read the play a little bit better. Maybe same with Kyle Connor. He's also in the vicinity. I mean, it's hard to really blame anybody for this. It's, I would argue, better execution by the Kraken than anything that the Jets have done wrong in this instance. But kudos to the Kraken. They fought back from 1-0. They fought back from 2-1. They fought back from 3-2. Now it's a 3-all game, and you're into the final 16 minutes or so of the third period.
And reminder, because I know Dave and I like Tolvanen in his draft year, reminder that the Kraken got Tolvanen for nothing. They got him off of waivers. So he had 22 goals last year. So, I mean, it just shows you can get good players off the waivers. Jets.
Ezzy, Nashville's a good team. They don't need them.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, how long before Barry Trotz goes behind the bench? Anyways, that's more of a Saturday morning topic.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Josh, I don't really have a problem with the way Morrissey plays this. Like, he comes out and he tries to block it, but it's just a good one-timer, like you said, Drew. It's a nice pass by Dunn, and it's a nice shot, and it's a really tough shot for Hellebuyck to stop, right? Because he's going right to left, and Tolvanen is Tolvanen's a a left shot, and he puts it to the right of Hellebuyck, right? So just like Drew said, a really well-placed shot. Mm-hmm. And unfortunate, that the Jets aren't able to kill that one off. But look, the Kraken, they had lost their last two games at home, their last two games, right? And they were desperate. They hadn't been scoring goals, and they exploded tonight. So you knew they were going to be more desperate. So, again, it was, you give a team 3 power plays, there's a good chance they're going to score on one of them, right?
Yeah. Eventually, it's going to bite you in the behind. I would agree with that. 3-all at this point. It's 15 minutes to go. Is this game going to go to overtime, or is each team going to get 1 point, and then they're going to decide a winner? No, the Seattle Kraken. It's just 3 minutes later, 3 minutes and 10 seconds later. It's a good rush up the ice by the Kraken. They've got some speed entering the Jets zone. It's a clean zone entry. It's Mason Marchment, it's Matty Beniers, and then it's Jordan Eberle, who just absolutely gets lost. Dylan DeMello, is next to Jordan Eberle at the, right next to Connor Hellebuyck. And as the play unfolds, you just see Eberle sort of sneak away, go behind the net, and pop out back the other side. It really does look like a set play to me, that they know where Eberle is going to go here. And nobody accounts for Jordan Eberle and his movements on this one. And Matty Beniers, who's got a lot of talent, as we know, former very high draft pick for the Kraken, is able to get the pass across to Eberle, and he's left all alone next to Connor Hellebuyck. He makes no mistake. A simple redirection, and the Kraken have a 4-3 lead. Just needs to be better zone awareness by everybody. You look at the dots. I'm watching them on the second screen. The goal visualizer. Perfetti loses him. Nemesnikov loses them. DeMello loses them. There just needs to be somebody always aware of what's happening at that back post. So many teams, so many players go to that back post because it's a good spot. It's a spot where you can sort of hide away. And so many teams give up that back post. The Jets did it in this instance. Eberle is a pro's pro who's been around this league for a long time and is definitely a smart enough player to smart his way around the ice. And Matty Beniers finds him with a good pass. 4-3, better execution by the Kraken, poor execution, poor defense, poor awareness by the Winnipeg Jets, Dave, on this one.
Yeah, I mean, it starts with Nemesnikov gets that kind of reverse hit by Marchment, and then Josh Morrissey takes a risk, right? He thinks, well, if he goes for the double team, maybe they can force him to cough up the puck. Problem is he's a fraction too late. Yeah. So he goes in, puck's already gone. So now the Jets they have 2 on Marchment, which means there's going to be a bit of an odds are now in the Kraken's favor, right? And you can see the look when you watch the replay on DeMello's face. You can see he knows he's cooked. Like he knows there's no chance. And if you're a Kraken fan, you got to. It is a beautiful goal because it's so well executed. Because Beniers just puts it there, and Eberle's just right in the perfect spot. So Connor Hellebuck has no chance on that one. And so it's a great pass and it's a great goal, but it's just a terrible play. And Dylan DeMello, yeah, I mean, you know, if you're going to be a top pairing right side defenseman on this team, that's 2 goals against that you don't like the way you played. So. This one I think is worse than the other one. I think this one's more egregious because I think like he's with them and he's not, and that one fraction of a second of inattention is the difference in this hockey game, right?
Is it like Dave? Is it like DeMello doesn't want to chase Eberle there? Because like you say, DeMello's with Eberle there.
I just don't think he notices that Eberle gets away from him.
I think I think he notices. I think he realized like
too late.
It's that fraction of a second where you can just see he's like. Well, I mean, but he puts himself into a kind of like he's in a tough position, right? Because
he put himself in a position where he basically had to chase him behind the net,
right? Because the problem was that if Eberle chose to go behind the net and DeMello doesn't, then he has to get around and try and beat him quick. And then the problem is he could potentially interfere with Connor Hellebuck.
Well, you have 2 options. In this instance, you either chase him or you break up the cross ice pass. Doing neither, I mean, is poison.
Yeah. That's right. That's right. And that's what I mean. And so he put himself into a situation where it's just not a good. I mean, I guess that was actually the 3rd instance where he was on for a goal against. Not I said second, but really now that I think about it, it was actually 3 instances where DeMello was, problematic. But that was the most egregious, I think, of the 3 goals.
And I'm not sure if you guys noticed this. Scott Arniel, there was a brief pause right after that goal was scored. And on the broadcast, Dan said that they were going to review something. Do you guys remember this?
Yeah, I think it was what that was.
I thought they were reviewing for Marchment to be.
Yeah, they were sending Marchment to the quiet room.
Yeah, I think it was just because Marchment.
Oh, that's what it was. Okay,
that's what it was.
Because if you looked at I just remember this because I made note of it because Arniel was really upset and Lowry was really giving the referee a mouthful. So I'm not sure what. That's why I wasn't really sure if he didn't like the reverse hit because the Marchment reverse hit it was Nemesnikov, right, Dave?
Yeah.
Yes.
I didn't think there was anything wrong with that.
Marchment's a big boy. He's just using it. I thought that was a perfectly fine.
I thought that was fine.
I just wasn't sure why Lowry and Arniel were so mad on the bench.
It's Marchment's reverse hit on the Nemesnikov is sort of what freezes Morrissey a little bit and gives Marchment the space to get the puck back to Beniers before he sends it across to Eberle. So I thought that's just a good play down the wall by Mason Marchment in this instance. And then he gets sent off to go to the quiet room, and you saw him smash his stick in the hallway. He didn't like
scared the crap out of one of the Seattle fans.
Yeah. He did that. 4-3 at that point in time for the Kraken. 12 and a half minutes to go. The Jets have some opportunities. Logan Stanley had that sort of dangle where he sent
we'll call it by its right name, Drew, a stand angle.
A stand angle. Kyle Connor had the tying
trademark
goal.
Dave Manouk.
Yeah. Kyle Connor had the tying goal on his stick as well. And more often than not, probably Kyle Connor scores in that instance, but he didn't in this one. And then the Jets give up the empty netter. A little bit of a blown play while they had some zone time. Jordan Eberle, his 7th assist to Beniers, and Marchment 5-3 for the Kraken. It's the game when it's the final score of tonight's contest. Another defeat for the Winnipeg Jets. They're ready to be done, I can assure you, with this road trip, but they have one more game to go, one more 9 o'clock game to go, and that'll come Saturday night back in Canada against the Calgary Flames as the Jets look to, at least make the road trip, I'm not going to say more, not respectable, but slightly less odorous than it currently is with the 1-4 record thus far. When we come back on the Illegal Curve post-game show, the Jets head coach is unhappy. We'll read you the quote from Jets head coach Scott Arniel, and we'll remind you about everything that's happening, including our live on location appearance with our buddy James Duthie tomorrow night. Don't go anywhere. Much more of the Illegal Curve post-game show to come. It's shortly after 12:30 in the morning on Friday morning. So at this point in time, you're pot committed. So stick with us and smash the like button while we head to break.
I want to thank you for not betting with Play Now and choosing our illegal gambling site instead.
Because we couldn't afford things like this without your money.
So much of your money.
Now you might have questions like,
Do our profits benefit your community?
No.
Or bet with Play Now, Manitoba's local legal and secure gambling site.
Dining, entertainment, parking, and convenience, all in one spot. City Place is located in the heart of downtown Winnipeg, attached to the Canada Life Centre. Whether you're working, living, or out for a night in the downtown, make City Place your go-to destination before or after the fun finds you. Lunchtime, game time, anytime. Visit City Place at 333 St. Mary Avenue, next to Canada Life Centre.
Boys, I've made an important life decision, and I need your support.
Oh boy.
I've decided to get a grill.
You mean a barbecue grill for cooking? Like, that's not an important life decision, Ezzy.
No. A grill for my teeth.
A grill for your teeth? Do I even want to know why you're doing this?
It's simple, really. Every time I go to Holt Dental, I get treated so very well by Dr. John and his team that I need to keep finding additional reasons to go back. I rely on Holt Dental for all of my dental needs, and they do it all, from regular cleanings to cosmetic dentistry. Plus, they have free parking at their front door, and you know how much I love my convenient parking.
For all your dental needs, Illegal Curve recommends Holt Dental, conveniently located on Taylor Avenue near Grant Park Mall. For more information, visit them online at holtdental.ca.
Guys, big news. You know how I'm always misplacing my cool stuff? Well, Big Daddy has a new hobby, labeling.
Labeling is your new hobby.
You got it. Ever since I discovered Label Daddy's washable labels, I just can't stop labeling. I'm labeling water bottles, hockey sticks, cereal boxes, roast chickens, team jerseys. Everything deserves a label.
I can think of a label or two for you.
Best part is that Label Daddy is the only label company officially licensed by the NHL. So my labels are personalized and can have the Jets logo on them. Just search NHL on the Label Daddy website.
For almost 2 decades, Label Daddy has been helping people to not lose their stuff. It's the most affordable insurance policy around.
For customized, washable, peel and stick labels with no ironing or sewing required, visit labeldaddy.com and search NHL for the label pack belonging to your favorite team.
For over 40 years, Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club has been Winnipeg's home for stand-up comedy. Renowned in the comedy world as a must-play venue, Rumors has recently been named Canada's top comedy club and a top 5 comedy club in North America. From birthday parties to date nights to fundraisers, wedding socials, and everything in between, Rumors is your destination for the best live entertainment Winnipeg has to offer. For information on upcoming shows, Rumors' incredible promotions, and to purchase show tickets, visit rumorscomedyclub.com.
At Boston Pizza, a fast lunch doesn't have to mean fast food. Now you can get a $15 lunch served in just 20 minutes, including your choice of a main, side, and drink. That's right, lunch for $15 at your local Boston Pizza.
20 minutes before 1 in the morning, you're probably wondering why James Duthie's face is on your screen right now. And that's a totally legitimate question. And the reason for that is tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, or I guess it's actually later tonight at 7 o'clock. We are going to be in conversation with Mr. Duthie at McNally Robinson Booksellers in the Grant Park Shopping Center. James is in town. He's going to be signing books and talking about his new book, Certified Beauties, more of hockey's greatest untold stories. And he's going to be there, and we're going to be there in conversation with James. So looking forward to that. Dave is holding up the book, as you can see there on the screen. So tomorrow night, I'll try that again. Later tonight, 7 o'clock, McNally Robinson at Grant Park Mall. Us, James Duthie, we're going to be in conversation. There's going to be a bit of a Q&A opportunity. Then James is going to be signing books, and Dave is going to be signing your babies as well. So James is signing books. Bring the babies, and Dave will Sharpie on the babies. It's going to be fun for the whole family. Maybe not the babies, but that's.
I'll be like Adam Sandler and Happy Gilmore.
Yeah, exactly. You're just signing left. You're signing things all over the place. So we're looking forward to that. I had an opportunity to catch up with James earlier this afternoon. Got to
big
see
lunch.
Big lunch. Exactly. For the record, you were both invited. You just turned me down.
It's not that we turned you down, Drew. Some of us had to cover the morning skates. We had to make sure illegalcurve.com stayed up to date, with all the breaking news. Dylan Sandberg making his
timing was not right.
Debut.
The timing was not good. Also caught up with O-Dog and Noodles and Brian Hayes. They were there, so great to see them. I know they were with our friends at Boston Pizza Polo Park. They're doing the Overdrive show on the road. So fun afternoon. It's going to be a fun night. 7 o'clock Friday night. Tonight, Friday night, McNally Robinson. Come sit, listen to us have great conversations with our buddy James Duthie. So you can look forward to that a little bit later on. Also want to remind you, of course, that the Illegal Curve merchandise store, that is still open. Dave, when do they have until? Tell the people when they have until.
Well, if you've entered an Illegal Curve contest in the last few years, then you probably got an email from us around 8:15 tonight that went out. So you will check your email. And if you didn't, then send me your email and I'll send you, make sure you get it. You'll be on our list. We'll add you to the list, right, Desi? But so everyone would have gotten an email just kind of giving you a little heads up. We've got till Monday to get your order in. So the 17th of November. And then with that, once all the orders are in, store closes, and you'll have your items ready for the holiday season. So make sure you get your items in. Support Illegal Curve. We just want to see people walking around wearing Illegal Curve gear. That's really, I love it wearing myself, as you can tell. Almost all my stuff is Illegal Curve, right, Ezzy? But I'm happy to see other people wearing it as well. So that always brings a thrill to our hearts and our eyes when we see folks wearing IC gear.
Yeah,
take that, Calvin Klein, right?
That's right.
Exactly.
Wear your IC gear tomorrow to the book event. That'll be perfect. The worlds colliding again. The link for the merchandise is available on illegalcurve.com.
I'll put it in the chat just to be sure.
And Dave will put it in the chat as well. Final word on tonight's contest goes to Jets head coach Scott Arniel. This courtesy of our buddy Jamie Thomas. Quote: "We just made too many mistakes tonight. 3 goals in our D zone coverage, strictly coverage situations that we blew," said Scott Arniel. Quote, further quote, "And then our execution throughout the game was really poor." Something we've heard more often than not in some games tonight this year so far for the Winnipeg Jets. They'll look to clean that up Saturday night against the Calgary Flames. We are next in action tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. It's also streamed live on YouTube. So if you can't make it to McNally Robinson, the event will be streamed live on their YouTube channel. So
should we do a co-stream, Drew? Should we stream it on
we can send an email. We'll see if we can do a co-stream, throw it up on our YouTube channel as well. So we'll check in on that, but it's also on the McNally Robinson YouTube channel. 9 a.m. Saturday is the Illegal Curve Hockey Show. Then the post-game show Saturday night. It's a busy weekend. Be out there, be hospitable to all of the visitors. I was in downtown Winnipeg, Ezzy. I'm sure you were there as well today. Tons of Grey Cup festivities. There's a real vibe, a real buzz.
Did you get on the horse?
I didn't get on the horse. The horse saw me and said, I don't want Drew on the horse. But the weather's going to be great. So imagine all these people visiting Winnipeg are thinking they're going to be shivering to their heart's content. And then tomorrow it's whatever, 12 degrees or whatever it's going to be.
Yeah, it's supposed to be.
Was cutting
last night. What, Ezzy?
You were cutting your grass yesterday.
I was trying to cut my grass. You're right. That's a good point. Well, after Drew made the comment about the mold on my grass, I had to make sure I took care of business.
Snow mold.
Can't have snow mold. So, no, I mean, now, hold on. Wait a second. Now that we've talked about a losing team, do we want to talk about a team that's on a win streak? Ezzy, 2 in a row.
No, we can do it on Saturday morning. There's much more details on Saturday morning. That's the Manitoba Moose. We'll do it on Saturday morning. Want to say a big thank you to all the sponsors of Illegal Curve who make the post-game show, the Saturday show, and the website a possibility. That's our friends at Play Now. They're the title sponsor. Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club. Sold out shows all weekend long for J.R. de Guzman. You can catch them. Get tickets. There's a few tickets left. RumorsComedyClub.com. Holt Dental, City Place. Will be at City Place next Friday for the return of Nikolai Ehlers. So we're looking forward to that. 12 noon on Friday at City Place. Wheatland Hockey, Boston Pizza, and of course, Label Daddy as well. Support these fine businesses because they're continued support of Illegal Curve Hockey. Jets drop another one in Seattle. Post-game coverage to come on illegalcurve.com. Much more on the YouTube channel as well. If you haven't already done so, smash the like button, subscribe, and tell your friends, tell your family the best place to be after each and every Winnipeg Jets game, and again on Saturday mornings, is the Illegal Curve YouTube channel. Big thanks to all of you for joining us. Big thanks to Dave Minute. Big thanks to Ezra Ginsburg for both of those fine gentlemen. I'm your host, Drew Mandel. We'll see everybody tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. And then, of course, we'll see everybody back here again Saturday morning at 9. Until then, we wish you good night and good luck. Thanks for watching the Illegal Curve post-game show.